Check what's coming out today. We're making pasties. So let's get straight down to the recipe.
And for your pastry recipe, you want 1/4 pint of water, a good pinch of salt, 5 ounces. This is actually a Cornish mix I've got in here of different fats, but you can use lard or white shortening, whichever you decide. And in here, 8 ounces of just straightforward plain flour. Now plain flour, this is basically what you use for cake making. So for mixing it all together, just put our salt in first, give that a mix around, add in our fat. It's best to use frozen fat really, because you want it still in chunks. Give that a mix in. This is so simple to do, really. Here you go. Get some flour on the side here, just in case you need a bit more. Just add in our water. Make a bit of a well in the middle. Add your water in. And just mix this in, like this. Now you want it fairly tight because of your fat. You make the pastry to whatever your fat is, really. And this is what happens when you're using gloves, by the way. I never use gloves, I usually use my hands. But today I thought I'd see what people say about using gloves, out of curiosity. Bit more flour. You don't want to mess around with this too long, really. And there you go. That's your pastry. We're now ready to use. So we'll get straight on and roll that out.
It's now that time in the video. If you like this type of content, please subscribe and please share. And don't forget to give us a like. To start with, give your board a good flour down. This is just to stop the pastry sticking. Unlike puff pastry, this is a faster way of making puff pastry, okay? And we call it in the trade rough puff. And basically you're going to be rolling this out and going to give it 3 turns. But the last time you do it is just before you actually roll it out for your pies and pasties. You want to make it a nice oblong shape. And we're then going to fold it in thirds over the top. Try and keep those edges a bit squarer than what I've got there. Look, it's all sticking. Yeah, get some more flour down. And once again, do that again. Roll it into an oblong shape. And a third and a third. If your fat is very soft, then your pastry wants to go into the fridge for around about half an hour just to cool down.
And for your chicken pasty filling, you want 4 ounces of chopped up chicken, 100 grams of stock, and this is already pre-made stock, by the way. I've made it up earlier. Just follow the recipe on the container, really, or just use basically chicken gravy if you want. 2 ounces of potato. Now, realistically, you can use it, make it in chunks, or you can grate it. A little bit of grated onion, because you want that bit of flavour, and a good pinch of salt. And to make it up, all we need to do is put our chicken in, add our potato in, and our onions. Add in our salt and add in our stock and just mix it in, just like this. And it's just like that. It's that simple. We'll now fill our pasties.
Now you've finished off rolling out your third turn, we're now ready to roll out the pastry. Now we want to be rolling this pastry down so it's almost 3 millimeters thick, give or take. Now this particular piece of pastry, I'll give you some idea. You can just make 2 or 3 pasties out of it if you want to. This amount of pastry will make you a good size 6 pasties. But today I'm going to be making 7 because that's exactly what I've done today. I've made 7 out of a recipe which was really only meant to do 6. You get me drift. It's the size of tin I've got to actually do the pastry. So what I've got here is a 6-inch tin. What we'll do is just mark it up just to make sure we can get out the pastry. Give the pastry a good shake up. And then what we're going to be doing is cutting each one out. And that's it. And there we go. That's 6. Now with all the bits of pastry, lay them all flat like this. And then you've still got that little bit of puffiness. Just roll it out. So it's around about 3 mil thick. Now we can cut the other one out. Any pastry left over, put in the fridge for another pasty. What you can do is do another pasty if you want, or an apple pie. Scrape down your board. Now we're going to be laying the pasty bases out, turn them over the other way so the cut edge is down. Just brush off that flare off the top of the pastry, especially if it's been what I call wet pastry. Now we're going to put a light coating of egg wash around the outside of the rounds. Give it a good stir up. And this egg wash is actually 50% water with egg. Just gently around the edges. Now you don't want it swimming, all right? Because your pastry will only stick to your board. Now with your filling, you want to divide it between 7 pasties. Hence why if you're only doing 6 pasties, you divide it by 6. And like I said, if you wanted to do 4 big ones or 3 big ones, that filling will do those as well. And that's just enough filling to cover it. Any more than that and it'll just flow out. So all we need to do is just fold them over into a D shape. Now if you want to put a pretty pattern on the edges there, or crimp them up like a Cornish pasties, go for it. But for this, I'm just folding them over. Because we'll do a proper Cornish crimp in another video. Okay, give them a good push down. Now what we're going to be doing is docking the top, and this is just to let the steam out when they're baking. The next thing we're going to do is just wash the tops over with egg wash. Well, this type of recipe, you can just fire them into the oven if you want to, but I always tend to want to rest my pastry anyway. So the same thing is I'd rest these for 20 minutes prior to baking. And we'll just tray them up. Now you can use silicone paper under your pasty, or you can just spray the tin itself. So there's our pasties ready for the oven. Our oven temperature is 210 Celsius. And we're going to be baking these in the oven for around about 25 minutes, give or take. And halfway through, turn them around in the oven. Our pasties are now ready. Don't they look nice from the oven? They are lovely. Oh, there's no doubt about it. So let's cut one open and have a look inside. So this is what the inside looks like. Looks nice, doesn't it? Now, if you look very carefully, on here, you can see the puff pastry. Now, what brings this to life, and there's no doubt about it, is the Cornish fat I used in it. And that's a bit of a combo of 3 different fats. That just looks nice. From outside, it looks like a Cornish pasty. And from inside, it looks like a Cornish pasty, because that's just how you want it. So it's not full-blown puff pastry. It's basically like a rough puff. So I suppose no point looking at it. So let's taste this. What do I think? God, that looks absolutely lush. You can taste the pastry. It's just right. It's got that beautiful flavour. It tastes like Cornish pasty pastry. And that's only because it's got the fat from a Cornish pasty in it. And the filling is absolutely beautiful. In fact, I prefer this one to my previous one I made, because I put grated in this particular one I've used chunks, and obviously chunks of meat, and obviously I grated the onion in. That is absolutely beautiful. That is banging. Well, there you go, folks. If you like this type of content, please subscribe and please share, and don't forget, if you want to buy me a coffee, it all helps to go towards running the channel. And we'll see you again very shortly on the Crazy Baker channel. Laters!